Sometimes I sit here and I just can't believe the audacity of some people. I mean, truly. I'm talking about the kind of nerve that makes your jaw ache from how hard you clench it. My daughter, Sarah, she abandoned her son, my grandson Michael, when he was just a little boy. Left him with me because he was too much for her to handle, especially after his autism diagnosis. And I'm not talking about a brief period. I'm talking years of silence, of not even a card on his birthday. Nothing. But then, Michael, my brilliant, beautiful grandson, he built an app, a game-changing piece of software that ended up being worth millions, $3.2 million, to be exact. And what do you think happened next? Sarah, the woman who couldn't be bothered to pick up the phone, suddenly materializes out of thin air, not with a hug, not with an apology, but with a lawyer by her side, demanding a cut of Michael's fortune. Can you even imagine? Was I wrong for the way I handled it? Tell me, honestly, what would you have done in my shoes? Let me take you back to the beginning. Michael was born when Sarah was just 20. She was young, and honestly a bit wild. She loved the idea of being a mother, but not necessarily the reality of it. Even as a baby, Michael was different. He cried a lot, had trouble sleeping, and was very sensitive to sounds and lights. We just thought he was a difficult baby, a little high-strung. I helped Sarah as much as I could, of course. I'd go over to her tiny apartment almost every day, cooking, cleaning, trying to give her a break. But it was clear she was struggling. Her boyfriend, Michael's father, was in and out of the picture, mostly out, which didn't help. He was charming but unreliable, a classic drifter type. He loved Michael, or at least he said he did, but he couldn't commit to anything, especially not to being a present father. When Michael was around 2 years old, the signs became clearer. He wasn't really talking, he'd often get lost in his own world, spinning toys for hours, and he hated being touched. Sarah, bless her heart, tried. She really did for a while. But the stress was eating away at her. She started going out more, leaving Michael with me for longer and longer stretches. I didn't mind, not really. I adored Michael. He was such a sweet, gentle soul, even with his quirks. But I could see Sarah slipping away. Then came the diagnosis. Michael was 4 when the doctors confirmed it. He had autism spectrum disorder. It wasn't a shock to me, not entirely. I had been reading up on it, recognizing so many of the behaviors. But to Sarah, it was a death knell. I remember the day we got the news. We were sitting in the neurologist's office, and the doctor was explaining what it meant, what services were available, what kind of support Michael would need. Sarah just sat there, her face a mask of stone. When we left, she didn't say a word until we were in the car. Then she just started crying, sobbing uncontrollably. "I can't do this, Mom," she wailed. "I can't be a mother to a child like this. It's too much. I'm not strong enough." My heart broke for her, but it shattered for Michael. I tried to reassure her, to tell her we'd figure it out together, that Michael was still the same wonderful boy, just with different needs. But her mind was made up. A week later, she packed a small bag, kissed Michael goodbye, a quick, almost detached kiss, and told me she was going to find herself. She promised to call, to visit, to send money. None of those promises ever materialized. So, at 55 years old, I became a full-time parent again. Michael moved into my spare bedroom, and our lives became a whirlwind of therapy appointments, special education meetings, and navigating a world that often didn't understand him. It was hard, I won't lie. There were meltdowns, sleepless nights, and moments of utter exhaustion. But there were also moments of pure joy. The first time Michael looked me in the eye and said, "Grandma," clear as a bell. The way his face lit up when he solved a complex puzzle. His fascination with patterns, with numbers, with how things worked. He had this incredible mind, a way of seeing the world that was so unique and brilliant. School was tough for him, socially, but academically, he excelled in subjects that captured his interest, especially anything to do with computers. He taught himself how to code when he was just 10, devouring books and online tutorials with an intensity I'd rarely seen in anyone, let alone a child. His room slowly transformed into a programmer's lair, with multiple monitors, wires snaking everywhere, and the constant hum of powerful machines. He spent countless hours in there, his fingers flying across the keyboard, completely lost in his digital world. Sarah, meanwhile, had truly vanished. Her calls became fewer and farther between, then stopped altogether. I tried reaching out, but her number changed. Her email went unanswered. I heard snippets through mutual acquaintances that she was living in another state, living her best life, as they put it, without a care in the world. It stung deeply. Not just for me, but for Michael. He would sometimes ask about his mom, in his own quiet way, and I'd just tell him she was busy, working hard, hoping one day she'd come back. But deep down, I knew better. I learned to be both mother and grandmother, to provide all the love and support Michael needed. I took him to every therapy session, every doctor's appointment. I fought with the school system to get him the accommodations he deserved. I celebrated every tiny victory, every step forward, and I held him close during every setback. We were a team, Michael and I, facing the world together. As Michael grew older, his passion for technology only intensified. He wasn't interested in typical teenage pursuits. While other kids were at parties, he was building websites, designing algorithms, and creating intricate virtual worlds. He was a savant with code, a true prodigy. He'd often show me what he was working on, explaining complex concepts in a way that, while often over my head, filled me with immense pride. One day, when he was around 19, he came to me with an idea for an app. It was designed to help people with anxiety and sensory overload, a tool he wished he'd had growing up. He poured his heart and soul into it, working tirelessly, sometimes for 16 hours straight, fueled by an internal drive that was truly awe-inspiring. I watched him meticulously craft every detail, every line of code, ensuring it was perfect. He called it Quiet Space, and it was a masterpiece of thoughtful design and intuitive functionality. It offered customizable soundscapes, visual filters, and guided breathing exercises, all tailored to help individuals find calm in overwhelming situations. He initially released it for free, just wanting to help people. But word spread like wildfire. Users loved it. Therapists recommended it. Tech blogs raved about its innovative approach. Then came the offers. Big tech companies, venture capitalists, all wanted a piece of Quiet Space. Michael, with his quiet intensity, handled it all with a maturity beyond his years. He consulted with lawyers, negotiated deals, and ultimately decided to sell the app to a major mental health tech firm. The offer was astronomical, $3.2 million. My grandson, the boy my daughter had deemed too much, had just become a multi-millionaire. I cried tears of joy and pride that day, holding him tight, telling him how incredibly proud I was. He just smiled, a rare, genuine smile that reached his eyes, and said, "Now you don't have to work so hard, Grandma." That's who Michael is. Always thinking of others. He bought me a beautiful, accessible house, set up a trust for my retirement, and even started a foundation to help other autistic individuals pursue their passions in technology. He was and is the kindest, most generous soul I've ever known. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Given everything, Sarah abandoning Michael, his incredible success, and her sudden reappearance, how would you have reacted? The day Sarah showed up was surreal. 2 weeks after the news of Michael's app sale hit the local papers, because, of course, a small-town boy making millions is big news, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Sarah standing there, looking different. She was dressed impeccably, a far cry from the disheveled young woman who had left Michael on my doorstep years ago. Beside her stood a slick-looking man in a suit, carrying a briefcase. Sarah smiled, a practiced, almost artificial smile. "Mom," she chirped, as if no time had passed. "It's been too long." My blood ran cold. I knew, instinctively, why she was there. Michael was in his room, working oblivious. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. "What do you want, Sarah?" I asked, my voice flat. Her smile faltered for a second. "Well, Mom, I heard about Michael. About his app. It's wonderful, truly. I'm so proud of him." Her eyes flickered to the man beside her. He cleared his throat. My name is Mr. Harrison. I'm Sarah's legal counsel. We're here to discuss Michael's inheritance. Inheritance. The word hung in the air, a grotesque mockery of reality. I stared at them, a cold fury building in my chest. Inheritance. I repeated, my voice rising. Sarah, you abandoned your son. You left him here, a little boy with special needs, and never looked back. You never called, never visited, never sent a single penny. And now you have the gall to talk about inheritance. Sarah's facade began to crack. That's not fair, Mom. I was young. I made mistakes. I needed to find myself. I was going through a lot. Mr. Harrison stepped forward, holding up a hand. Mrs. Johnson, with all due respect, Sarah is Michael's biological mother. Under the law, she has certain rights, including to a portion of any significant financial gains he may acquire, especially as he was still legally a minor for a portion of the time he was developing this asset, and depending on various factors, parental rights can still imply a claim of support or contribution. Regardless of absence, it can be argued her initial support contributed to his environment. The legal jargon was infuriating. I just laughed, a bitter, humorless sound. My initial support? You mean her abandonment? She contributed to Michael's environment by not being in it. I was the one who raised him, who paid for his therapies, who loved him, who encouraged him, not her. I looked at Sarah, truly looked at her. There was no remorse in her eyes, only a calculating glint. You want his money, don't you, Sarah? That's all this is about. She bristled. Of course not. I just want to reconnect with my son. And as his mother, I'm entitled to what I'm entitled to. That was it. My patience snapped. Get off my property, I said, my voice low and dangerous. Mr. Harrison looked surprised. Mrs. Johnson, I advise against this. We can settle this amicably. There's nothing to settle. I interrupted. You want to talk about rights? What about Michael's right to a mother who didn't abandon him? What about his right to grow up with love and support, which you never gave him? My only regret is not formally adopting him myself, but he's my grandson, and I will protect him from you. I knew I had to be strong, not just for myself, but for Michael. I wasn't going to let this woman waltz back into his life and steal his hard-earned success, or worse, break his heart all over again. I spent the next few days in a whirlwind, contacting my own lawyer, a kind woman who had helped me with some estate planning years ago. She was appalled by Sarah's actions and assured me we had a strong case. We gathered all the evidence: medical records, school attendance sheets, therapy bills, and dozens of sworn affidavits from teachers, therapists, and neighbors testifying to Sarah's complete absence from Michael's life and my role as his sole caregiver. My lawyer explained that while Sarah might have a legal standing as a biological parent, the concept of abandonment and the extensive evidence of my sole guardianship would weigh heavily in our favor, especially considering Michael was now an adult and could speak for himself. The confrontation in court was difficult, to say the least. Sarah tried to paint herself as a struggling young mother who made a few mistakes, now seeking to reconnect with her son. She even shed a few crocodile tears on the stand, talking about how much she missed Michael. But when it was my turn, I laid out the truth, calmly and clearly. I described every single detail of Michael's upbringing, her desertion, the pain she caused, and the immense joy and pride I felt in raising him. I showed the judge photos of Michael as a child, his therapy reports, the awards he won, and ultimately, the documentation of his app's success. Michael, now 20, also spoke. He was quiet, but his words were powerful. He told the judge that I was his mother, his everything, and that Sarah was a stranger. He stated, unequivocally, that he wanted nothing to do with her and that his money was for his future and for my care, not for someone who had never cared for him. His testimony, delivered with such clarity and conviction, was the final nail in Sarah's coffin. The judge's ruling was a victory, not just for us, but for common sense and decency. The court found that Sarah had indeed abandoned her parental responsibilities and had no legitimate claim to Michael's assets. Furthermore, the judge commended me for my unwavering dedication and love for Michael, acknowledging my role as his true parent. Sarah and Mr. Harrison were left with nothing. The look on Sarah's face, a mixture of disbelief and fury, was something I'll never forget. She tried to approach Michael after the verdict, but he simply turned his back and walked away, his hand gently taking mine. Life since then has been peaceful, thankfully. Michael continues to thrive, now working on new projects, always pushing the boundaries of what's possible. He's incredibly generous, making sure I'm comfortable and taken care of, and he continues to support his foundation. We've built a beautiful life together, forged in love and resilience. Sarah occasionally tries to reach out through other family members, sending messages of regret and wanting to make amends, but Michael refuses to engage, and honestly, so do I. Some wounds run too deep, and some bridges are burned beyond repair. So, that's my story. It's a harsh reminder that blood isn't always thicker than water, and that true family is about love, sacrifice, and unwavering support, not just biology. I often wonder what Sarah thinks now, if she ever truly regrets what she did. But honestly, it doesn't matter. What matters is Michael and his incredible journey from a little boy deemed too much to a brilliant, compassionate young man who changed his own stars. If you are on my side and you believe that true family goes beyond just genetics, then please like this video. Subscribe for more stories like this, and share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next story.